Hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Expert Talk. Your unique destination for insightful conversations with experienced professionals. I'm your host, Zed, the CEO of Sales Pro for You, and more about me as usual during the show. But today I am very, very excited to travel very quickly to Orange County. It's California. And today I'm talking to, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. It's Roy Dekel. It sounds a bit German. It sounds a bit American. I'm not quite sure, but you are going to educate me on this, I guess. And you're already laughing, which is very good. Roy, I would like to summarize your nutshell at the beginning a bit. And then, of course, I'm going to kick the ball into your corner. And we are going to have very, very I would say, funny and insightful conversation. So I hope everything is correct what I'm now going to say. So with over 20 years of experience in finance, insurance, fintech, and real estate, you have built a reputation as a bold inventor and a real leader. You have co-founded ventures like SetSchedule. This is, if I'm right, a SaaS tool, so software as a service for real estate, as well as Rentastic, an accounting tool for real estate, and Taskable. And I would say it's a calendar scheduling management tool, also very insightful. And moreover, this is showing how you have mastered the art of turning ideas into thriving businesses. So, drawing your experiences as a former Israel Navy sales officer, very impressive, you focus on discipline, resilience, and teamwork. Moreover, inspired by your childhood, you help charities that focus on quality of life and the education of children. Through Sales Pro for You, you would like to expand your cooperation beyond the US, leveraging your European roots and passion for building thriving companies. So, Roy, it's a pleasure to meet you today. How's it going?
Very good. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me on the show, Suzette. You did pretty good. I mean, 99.9% is close and accurate. I would say I'm originally from Israel, born in Haifa. My European heritage is Romanian and Polish. And back to the name really quickly, Dekel is actually the new version, I guess, that my uncle named our last name. Originally was Dickman, which was German, Romanian, Austrian, a mix of all of them. And from Dickman, it turns into Dekel in Israel, which is a palm tree. But you're right. I mean, when I walk around in the US, where Dekel or palm tree in Hebrew is not a known thing, a lot of people think it's a German name. So you're absolutely correct.
Thank you so much, Roy. So I'm very happy that almost 99%, as you just said, is correct. What I summarized in a nutshell at the beginning. So for me, the first and the most pressing, I'm so sorry, question is how to start a business. So what kind of skills do I need to start a business?
Oh, goodness. It's almost like asking where should I buy my my next home. It's so open-ended, and yes, you have very core basic, elements to whether it's you're shopping for your home, your family home, or whether you're starting a business. But if I have to summarize it into, 1 minute, and I will summarize it to 1-minute bullet points, I'd say, first, you have to have the tenacity that most people don't have. You need to be okay with not sleeping. You need to be okay with being stressed. You need to be okay with the idea that if you don't wake up, nothing moves. If you don't do, nothing gets done, and so on. That would be the first thing. So the drive, the energy, the tenacity to drive your business forward, or your idea, or your vision. Right after that, and it's a very close second, is be okay with the word no. Step out of your comfort zone and step out of this poor me environment of thinking that if someone says no to you, it's the end of the world. No is just another way of negotiating. No, as Chris Voss said in his Never Split the Difference movie, Chris Voss was an FBI negotiator. And there's a phenomenal book that talks about never split the difference. The word no is actually a starting point for negotiation. So naysayers and people that say no, they are either completely ignorant to what you're trying to solve, or they're just pushing you in their own standardized way forward to build your business. So I'll stop here and I'll just say tenacity and deal with naysayers and have the ability to drive your business even when you hear the word no 5 times a day.
Wow, thank you so much. Now I understand why I mean, you were in the Navy, right? Or you were an officer. I'm just impressed because I mean, if somebody would say no, you would just say, okay, this is just an option. No is not a no.
No, 100%. I mean, Jeff Bezos said very well that if you're going to innovate an industry or if you're going to come up with a new product that defines a category, be super comfortable with the idea that all people surrounding you would not understand what you're planning to do. And most would just articulate their misunderstanding or lack of understanding with the word no. It's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. The name is not right, and so on. So you need to be comfortable with that.
Got you. I also discovered, because I did some research up front, I also discovered that I guess you mentioned something like a quote, sorry for this, if it's not correct. You said, you can either build a job for yourself or you create a company.
That's actually a great quote. And that's a quote that I think I learned as a child, if I'm not mistaken. My dad. There's two in Hebrew. There's two terminologies. There's like an independent, atzmai, and there's basically a business executive or a businessman, which is basically employed by the corporation. And obviously, the greatest companies employ their founders, right? The people that actually came up with the idea. And there's a big difference between creating a job for yourselves and for yourself or building a company. And the key difference is actually in a point that we didn't cover, which is teams. Teams are imperative to the growth of the company, and you need to surround yourself with people that do believe in you and are loyal to you. And that team will define whether or not you created a job for yourself or you build a company.
I would like to live the philosophy that I always surround myself with people who are much smarter than me.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's okay to be the most stupid guy in the room.
This is like our CEO is the most stupid lady in the room, but we are smarter, we are amazing team. So, but I like, I like this culture. Okay, next question. I was also, when I did my research, I also learned about your experience and your past, that you are, let's say, you are a kind of investor, but you are also a founder. So it's a mix. But anyway, let's speak a bit about more about the founding situation. So how to attract investors?
Oh, that's the $1 billion question if you choose to raise billions of dollars, right? Or it's $1 million question if you start with millions. So um, I would go with a contrarian answer to this. The way to attract investors is to not worry about the investors. It's to worry about creating a product category that solves a problem, worry about the customers, worry about the way you service your customers, worry about the speed you service your customers. Worry about the moat that you want to create. And this statement I'm actually stealing from Warren Buffett. Worry about the moat you're creating where you have a defensible company that can actually solve a problem and it's relatively not penetratable or you're dealing with low competition on the product and the quality of the product that you offer. And the investors are going to come. That's my philosophy. Investors are going to come. Investors are going to want to invest in a successful business. Investors are going to want to more so invest in successful entrepreneurs. So, my philosophy is you really want to focus your effort in bootstrap budget, problem solving, building the foundations to the company, starting the company, and then addressing capital raise post-seed. So a lot of people go and do the incubation to pre-seed, to seed, to post-seed. I think that the incubation to pre-seed in most instances is not for everybody. And ultimately that incubation of the idea to pre-seed, it's something you can do in a garage. I mean, back in the day, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started Apple in the garage, right? I mean, a lot of companies started in some parents' basements or garage. And that's the phase of the pre-seed. You sell your product, you get the first customer, you get the first customer service call, you handle that, and all of a sudden you go for what we define today as seed or round A.
Very interesting, and it sounds so super easy.
Well, I mean, it's not difficult if you're ready for it. It's not difficult to create. I mean, let's face it, this world exists because of creators and doers, right? I mean, there's the cycle of both. And if you want to do it, just do it. I mean, at the end of the day, you talk about my military service. One of the key things I took from the military service during BUDS training, or the equivalent to BUDS training in Israeli commando training, SEAL training, is stress week. And one of the key things I took from stress week was or training is that eh, time never stops. And if you want to do something, you just put your mind to it. If you say, I want to reach Friday and I'm not going to quit, then I reach Friday. I mean, unless, I die, which that's not the plan, I will reach Friday because Friday will help. And even if I go through hell week and I go through this torture of sleeping 3.5 hours in a period of 6 days, at the end of the day, it's not difficult to start. It gets difficult to continue, but it's not difficult to start.
You're right. I absolutely agree what you are saying. I'm a bit, let's say, worried about you are saying like the investors are going to come. They are just going to be attracted, by what I'm doing, by what I'm saying, by what I'm selling. I would say, of course, there needs to be some kind of strategy. There needs to be some kind of practice. I mean, to sell, right? Or what do you think?
Well, I mean, you talk about strategies for investor capital raise or strategies for selling? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Sorry, yes, I mean the first one. So to attract investors, what kind of sales strategy or sales training, or how could I be prepared to sell my idea to a potential investor?
So of course, you can build a strategy, and of course, there's a strategy to it, right? So I mean, I'll dwindle it down to about a minute and a half of bullet points, right? At the end of the day, there are two things that investors want. They want you, and they want your product or your company, right? So you need the strategy to be okay. How do I sell myself? Because I'm the jockey, as they say, the jockey and the horse. I'm the jockey, and if they don't like me, they're not going to give me a dime. And how do I sell the business, right? And the value proposition and the moat and the quality of product and the unique aspect of it and so on. So really, the important thing when you strategize for investments is first if you need to define your target demographic. The same thing you do with your customers, you need to do with your investors. Who are the optimum investors that can invest in you? Is it going to be a pre-seed venture capital fund? Is it going to be private equity fund? Is it going to be angels? Is it going to be debt? So you decide what's your target demographic and you build the pitch around it. Like, for example, in many instances, pre seed, you want to go to family and friends, you want to go to angel investors, you want to go to people that trust and love you, and you want to work with them. You go to the professional investors when you have a little bit more of a mature company with financial data and with a little bit of a track record because the professional investors are going to ask for the professional things they have on the book. And in many instances, pre-seed or beginner entrepreneurs, I don't want to call them entrepreneurs like Mark Cuban would call the entrepreneurs, the beginner entrepreneurs don't have the sets of financials. They don't have the standard operating procedures, even for $1 million sized company. So it's important that you start with angels, or I mean, that's my personal unbiased opinion, but again, if you prefer to go to pre-seed, in many instances, pre-seed is also good when you start with an incubation path, like when you go to, all of the 200 different incubators that will help you raise a small pre-seed from professional investors.
Thank you so much, Roy. Just another idea which popped up in my mind is, what would you think? I mean, as potential investor in a service or in a product, if we could, or I could place experts, next to the newbies, so next to the young CEO. who's going to help, right, to push the business. So something like a sales expert or a marketing expert who is not controlled, but who is giving feedback frequently to the investor. So the investor, let's say, is having any kind of details, any kind of information about how the business is going to evolve because of this expert who is placed, next to the young CEO or next to the company in general.
So it's a good question because we went through this path in our careers with advisors, with broker dealers, with VC consultants. We've done it. I want to say we've done it all. We obviously always discover that we haven't done it all. There's always new stuff, but it's always good to have a professional on your side. The challenge is you need to make sure that that professional equates to someone you would put on your team. Because if you remember when we talk about teams make the company, and loyalty, trust, and belief in the cause and the flag is what's important for a team, the same thing stands true for a consultant. You need a partner or consultant that stands that test of loyalty, understanding, and belief in the flag and not just a paycheck. And but it is important to have that consultant because sometimes consultants have the database, sometimes they have the understanding of how to build the deck, they understand how to position the company in an attractive way, because sometimes entrepreneurs and CEOs are completely detached from what the investor is viewing because the investor is not in the space. The investors did not come up with the idea for the product. So in many instances, they may very well be the naysayers that don't understand the innovation. So you need a consultant on your side. That's a good, in most instances, it's a good idea.
Yes, I brought up this idea because I believe that, as CEO, especially in a young company, you are not able to have all those skills, right? You could maybe good in selling, you could maybe be good in marketing, but you can just be also very bad in those skills. So I guess it's a very good idea, not to have somebody next to me who's going to help me, who's also going to convince my investor at the end, to keep pushing money in my company.
Right. And it's also it's going to be the person that is going to give you the hopefully the positive feedback to keep you up and hold you when you hear that no, no, can't, wouldn't, should. Your name is not good, the color of the logo is not good, the idea is not going to work in the US, Europe, or Asia, and so on. So it's a good to have a partner and a consultant.
Would you be such a partner?
I am happy to help in any capacity that I can offer. I'm very much involved with multiple different charities, and as you said, and not to say that a CEO and entrepreneur is a charity, but assisting business growth and business development is definitely a good cause that I'm happy to help. So, in short, the answer is yes. If there's an interest and if someone wants even just to ping for questions, I'm happy to help.
That's so great, Roy. Thank you so much because this is actually, I mean, the purpose of this podcast show, that I am, able to speak to such great personalities like you are one. So if I'm a company and if I'm interested in working together with you on a freelance base, for example, how could the business start, to work with you? Should I just pay you, as you just said, or I mean, how could we start working together?
So in the commercial side, you can obviously see my biographies on my websites. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and obviously, for serious inquiries, we'll circle back with emails and conversations. We on the commercial side, we have obviously an investment vehicle, and we acquire companies. So we're happy to look at opportunities if it's relevant for us, if we'll be the investor, if we'll be the partner. If I like the team, I'm obviously going to be interested in being part of the team. But if it's for consulting, I'm very happy to assist anyone that would like to reach out and get some good advice. And the best method would be LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, Roy. Last question, or maybe I could ask you if you can just do me a favor. Would you like to give a quote, to the listeners, to the viewers, something, or just maybe driving you, a motivation or something?
Okay. Um, Yes. Thank you. And by the way, you're putting me on the spot. I love that. I love your style of interviewing. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Um, if I have to think in one quote to walk away from the podcast and the meeting today, I would say to that person that is watching this podcast and listening to this podcast, your idea was your idea and it was good yesterday. So it is good as well today. Don't give up on it.
Thank you so much, Roy Dekel. And this is wrapping up our enlightening episode of today's The Expert Talk. So remember, folks, success is a journey, and having the guidance and the wisdom of an experienced professional next to you makes all the difference. And if you would like to get in touch with Roy Dekel or any other expert, please reach out to me at expert@salesproforyou.com. Thank you so much, Roy. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope we can do this again in the future. It was so much fun and very insightful.
Thank you so much.